this Design 1 video where I'm going to show you how to assemble a wing from components in SolidWorks. What we can see here on the left is some parts, and these are some parts already designed by somebody else who designed the wing, and your job is going to be to try and assemble them into a wing configuration and then go on and test it. So this wing's been designed by somebody else. It's actually not been designed terribly well, and one of your jobs is to try and understand when putting it together about design for manufacture, so how you can improve on this design so it goes together better than when it was first designed. So the components we've got are some spar pieces like this. We've got a leading edge and we've got a trailing edge. We've got some ribs. There's some funny bits here, which is the glue which joins it all together, and then this block here is a solid block of steel which we're going to put the wing in so that when we can test it. So the procedure is going to be we're going to set up this block, we're going to add some spar components, we're going to add some glue to it, we're going to stick in our first rib, we're going to put some glue on other end of the rib, and what we're going to then do is use the smarts in SolidWorks. So with this spar we're going to mirror it rather than putting it in twice, and once we've got this rib in, we're then going to copy it. So we're going to do a linear pattern. So all we have to do is set up one rib and then we can copy it and then populate the whole wing. And then we need to put the tops of the spars on and the leading edge and trailing edge. Okay, so what we're going to do now is start a blank project, and we're going to import the files as you've downloaded them from Blackboard. So if you open up SolidWorks and click on new file, and what we want to do is create a new assembly. So it's the yellow one with the blue block on it. So an assembly is a collection of parts. Started off with a blank document. Because we haven't got any parts open, it's immediately realized that I want to try and open a part. So it's actually found the directory I'm in, this student release, where all the parts are. So all these parts have helpfully appeared. The chances are when you start it, SolidWorks will be looking in a completely funny place. So what I'm going to do is cancel that and then show you what yours might look like. So it's going to start by asking you to import some parts. If there's nothing there, if you go to Browse and then find the directory where you've downloaded the parts and open that, and then you should see something like this. So what we're going to do is start with the root block. So this is really important because what it is, it's the kind of ground zero for the model, and everything is referenced to it. So this bit's really important. What I'm not going to do, I'm not going to click anywhere in the thing. You can move it around with a mouse, but what I'm going to do is do the tick like that. And what that does is it drops the block in so that it's on the origin of the world. Okay, so we've dropped that block in, and because we just ticked yes without placing it anywhere, it should have placed it in the origin of the world, and that's really important because all our planes are relative to that. And the way to check this, if we find look in the hierarchy tree here, if we click on origin, there's a little dot there, and we spin round and the origin of the world is there, and then if we open up this part root block which we've just put in and check the origin of that, and they're in the same place. So that's been successful. Really important to get that right, because if you don't, it's much harder to put everything together because you don't know where you're starting from. And if you carry on without doing this, you may have to undo it all to go back to get this in the right place. Anyway, so we've got our block in, it's at 0, 0, 0, we know exactly what we're doing. And if we look on here, these planes are now go through the 0 point, so we can use those. So let's get our first part in. So we need to go to Insert, Component, Existing Part or Assembly. And because I've got nothing open, it's helpfully popped up this window. And what we need to do is find the spar component. So we click on that, click Open. and it appears in the world here. So it's a bit bewildering when these things come in to start off with. You need to see where you are. I'm going to use my wheelie mouse button. It goes the other way in Unity, so if you've learned one way, it wheels the other way in SolidWorks. And we're going to be putting that in this hole, so it doesn't really matter where you drop it, but just somewhere where you can see both of them at the same time. So if you click, it drops it in the world. So now this is where the fun begins. We've got to mate things together. And for top tips in mating, the best thing to do is get it roughly where you need it to start off with, so you're not having to move too far. And if you remember from first semester when you did SolidWorks, mating is about referencing different surfaces, edges or points to other surfaces, edges or points in your assembly. And the key to assembling a good model is setting up your mates in a sensible way. And many problems with CAD models come because the mates get chewed up somehow. You accidentally mate something to something else. And if your model completely locks up or starts behaving really badly, quite often what it is that there's a rogue mate in there joining two things together that you didn't think were meant to be joined. So you have to concentrate pretty hard when you're doing your mates, and if it goes wrong you have to be prepared to undo it. So I'm going to do it, I'm going to do some things wrong, and then you can see how you undo it. So the order you do mates matters a bit, but not entirely. So most of them, it doesn't matter what order you do them in. So we need to get that inside that hole there. So what we're going to do is click on that first surface, and then you can access via insert mates, but I find the easiest way of doing it just this context menu. The little paperclip comes up, and then mate, and then we want to make that parallel with that, and SolidWorks is smart enough that if you click on two surfaces, it just assumes you want them coincident like that. If you just wanted them parallel, you click like that. Okay, that's good. We're going to do tick. And it's a bit annoying now because we can't see round it, but if you click and drag, you can move it without it doing anything, and you're still in the mate mode here, so that's quite convenient. Okay, let's now put that surface against that surface. Whoops, I clicked in the wrong place. So I'm going to delete that, have another go, zoom in a bit, click on there, and now I'm going to click on the other face. And SolidWorks is pretty helpful. The thing you've just clicked on, it makes it transparent so you can see through it. So actually all of this you could click through there and it's fine. But anyway, I'm going to click on that surface, joins it together, and on my mouse you can just see a little tick on the right mouse button, and instead of going all the way over there, it's gone anyway. Alright, I am going to go over there and tick that. I'll show you next time. We're on there and click on that surface, click on there, show it to you this time. So if I just do right click, it just does it without, it saves you moving the mouse around. Okay, so we now got our first spar in place. Let's tick that. And one thing to check is, does it move? And it says the selected component is fully defined, so that's really good, and this is fully defined, you can't move it. And it's always worth checking when you put a component in that it is fixed, because quite often if you do the mates wrong, it will wobble in some other way. The other thing to check, you can see here it says fully defined on here, and what that means is there's no unconstrained degrees of freedom, so it's all going well. Okay, so we've got these other spars to put in, so we could go through the same process of opening the part and putting it in, but because we're smart, what we're going to do is just mirror this one. It's symmetric about the middle, so we're just going to mirror it to get it to the other side. So what we do is we do linear component pattern, and somewhat confusingly mirror component is at the bottom of that one, but we need to do mirror component. And first thing it does is ask for the mirror plane, and this is where our setting up of the world matters, because what we're going to use is the right plane. So if we click on that, just check it's the right one. So if we look sideways on, that's the plane down the middle. So we're going to mirror about that, and it somewhat intelligently guessed I was going to do spar 1 just because that's what I clicked on already. But anyway, so if that wasn't if I delete that, if I click on that one again, it just connects it. Okay, we're all good. You can just do tick. If you want to preview it, you can do that and it'll do you a purple preview. And there's all sorts of options about left and right handed parts. We don't have to worry about any of that because our parts are really simple. You can check it's what you wanted, and if it is, do tick, and there we go. We've got our two spars put together. Okay, next on our list is the glue in the middle. We want to glue the rib on, but to start off with, we're going to put some glue in the gap. So we're going to do insert, component, existing part, and we're going to find the Spar glue part and just put it roughly in the right place. Okay, so with this one, it's a bit of a funny shape, but actually it's come in upside down, so we're going to have to flip it round to get it in the right place. And so to do this, we do select that, mate, and then we click it on there. So that's got in the right place, but it needs flipping around, and to flip it round you have to do the flip mate alignment, and it always does a funny loop-the-loop and ends up in a slightly weird orientation, but it is now, if we slide it around, it's in the right place that way. So now we can do the other surfaces, that one there, right click to select it, okay it, do that one to slide the back in, okay, and if we just check very carefully that it's gone in exactly, this is fitting exactly. If there's any gaps or anything around here, it means you've actually done some wrong mates and you have to undo it. Okay, that looks okay, but I tell you what, if I had made a mistake, let's say I've let's undo that. Let's say by mistake I had selected that one and then mated it to that surface and clicked OK. What's happened there, you can see that it's gone parallel with that one, and it's clearly not in the right place, and it's sticking out on that side. So it's fairly typical when you do this, you make little errors like that, thinking, oh no, it's stuck in the wrong place. What you can do is you can undo the mate, but quite often you don't realize you've done it till later. So let's just select that and pretend we've made a mistake. Thinking, okay, that's stuck, and it's stuck in place, we can't do anything. And you can dig down here to find the mates to undo it, or you can do Control Z to undo it, but the best way to see what's going on, if you right click on it, and then the eyeball on the paperclip is View Mates. And what that does is it tells you which bits you've stuck on, and if we look carefully here, let's get this in the right place, we've got that one which connected it to the side, we got that one which connected it to the horizontal bit, and then it was this last one here where we can see we made a mistake where they were on top of each other. So what you could do is you could just edit that, or quite often it's easier just to select it and just delete that mate, and then you can have another go at it. So it'll now slide in that direction because we deleted the mate, and let's have another go. So select the surface, do mate, and then click on that side, and there it's gone in. So it's quite usual when you're mating these assemblies that you make mistakes. You have to be able to undo things and don't get stuck. If you build stuff on top of something else that's got problems, you quite often have to undo quite a lot. So each step, try and make sure that it's fitted together properly. No different than if you were building a real structure, you would check at each stage. Okay, so we've got our glue in. If this was hot glue, we'd have to get the rib in pretty quickly, but since this is CAD, we've got plenty of time. So let's now insert a component. So you could use this menu if you wanted to, why not? Same thing, so find our rib, here it comes, get it roughly in the right place, doesn't matter exactly where it is, go through the process of mating it. So let's put it that way first. There's always a bit of a pause after you connect that, and you have to just wait for SolidWorks to catch up. So that's good. We need that surface glued to that one. That's good. And then we need that surface glued to there. Okay, so that's done. Let's just check it's in properly, so it doesn't move, it's fully fixed, it says it's fully defined. Okay, so we're good there. So we now need to put the glue in the top bit. So we could go through the process of putting another bit of glue in there, but actually, since we're smart, what we're going to do is just mirror that glue, because this is symmetrical up and down. We can just mirror it. So let's do the same process again. Mirror component, mirror plane is going to be the top plane again. Oh no, we haven't used this one yet. Okay, so top plane, we haven't used this, but let's just check. The top plane is there. So it's going to mirror it top and bottom. And the component to mirror, we're going to have to zoom in carefully to make sure we get the glue and nothing else. If we click on the glue, that's good. If we want to preview it, look at it, that looks okay. So let's tick that. Okay, and now we've got our glue in, and that was much quicker than trying to do it from scratch. Okay, we need some glue on the front of the back of the ribs as well to stick things on, so let's get those little bits of glue on the front and the back. So we're going to do insert component, and we have got the glue here, trailing edge glue, and if I hold control down, it allows me to do two at once. So I've selected both, and I do open, and this just saves a little bit of time. So I can click that one, and then it immediately jumps to doing the other one, and I can stick the other one back there. You can do them one at a time if you want. It's just if you do multiple clicks, it just saves a few mouse movements. Okay, let's get this stuck on. So select paperclip, wait a few seconds, goes on, right click, get these paralleled up, right click. Now this next one, we need to slide this up so it's aligned with here, but there's no parallel lines to do this, so we can't make that surface parallel to that one because that one's curved. So what we have to do here is a point mate. These ones you need to click accurately to make this work. I'm going to go in a bit closer. So I'm going to get that vertex there, if it lets me. There we go. So that's that point selected, and then I'm going to get that point there selected. What it does is now slides it up so those points are on top of each other. So you need to do that when you're mating surfaces that have no parallel. You're mating of something flat to a curve. So same again here, select that on there, make these parallel, do the point mate, point there and point there. Okay, job's a good one. So we've got our rib all glued up. Now we need lots of ribs. Let's come out of the mating mode. So we could do that over and over and over again, but once again we're really smart. We recognize it's a pattern, so we should just be able to pattern this component along, and that's going to save us loads of time. So we can click on linear component pattern. First thing is the direction. We want it going down the spar, so let's click on there, and we need to, the components we want to pattern, we want to all of this. So we want the rib, but we also want the glue, that glue, to zoom in quite a lot to get that glue. Whoops, I unselected the rib, I can select it again. Better clicking that time, got the glue. And we need the glue on the trailing edge. So it's all gone blue. We see here the components we've selected, and now we need to choose what to do with them. So SolidWorks took that direction and it happened to be that way. We need to make it go the other way. So this kind of reverse direction button makes it go the other way. And then we have to adjust the spacing to get it so that it joins up. And if you've measured these components, you'll know that the spacing between these things is 70 millimeters, and So you can click on this or just type in 7, and then you can change the number of components to however many you want. In this case we've got 7, that takes us to the end. You can just zoom into the last one. You can just check whether your maths is right, because it should fit exactly if it's spaced out according to what the notches are. So that looks pretty good. So final check, we've got all our bits connected. Great, let's tick that. So wonderful, we've got populated wing. This is SolidWorks at its best. That saves loads of time. Next job, let's put the tops of the spars in, and we recognize here these is vertically symmetric, so we can do another mirror process. So linear component pattern mirror. The mirror plane is the top plane. Always just check it's the one you think it is. Yeah, it is. So SolidWorks is thinking I want to do everything there. I don't want to do any of that, so what I'm going to do is right click and do clear selection. So that's done nothing. And now select the 2 spars I want to do. Preview it. Kind of looks okay. So tick. Okay, we're getting there. So we've got our spars in, and what we need to do now is the leading and trailing edges. There's a slightly curious thing. I always like to have the perspective mode on. It makes things look much more natural when there's perspective on. So it's not necessary, but it looks better, I think. Okay, let's get the leading and trailing edge. So we're going to do the multi-click thing again. So leading edge, and then holding control down, trailing edge, open, and plonk that roughly where we want it. Same again with the trailing edge, and let's get these things mated up. So paper clip, so that's, can't see what we're doing, so you can just click and drag on it and that's fine. It doesn't do anything, and let go. We can now see what we're doing. That's good. We need to do another point type of mate on this. Point and point. Okay, that's good. So making this one. Zoom in for the point one, point, and point. There we go. When you're doing this for the first time, you will make loads of mistakes doing this. You just have to get happy with undoing things. It comes with a bit of experience. You can do this relatively quickly, but to start off with, it does take a bit of practice. Okay, and what we have now is a complete wing. So it's fully defined, says it's fully defined down there, so nothing moves when I pull on it. And if we look in close, we've got glue on this end bit, but anyway, you can see how all the glue is sort of fitting all these things together. And in practice, when you're building these things, you have to leave a gap for the glue. If you make this a perfect fit, there's no room for the glue. And so when these things are manufactured, there needs to be some space to allow glue to go in, but equally you want the minimum amount of glue to hold things together. For this particular design, we've allowed about 0.5 millimeter, so you could squirt your hot glue gun in there to fill it. Probably that's more than it's needed, but it gives you some sort of idea of how you might assemble this. The other thing to notice is that you would probably glue these side bits together as well. We haven't included that in this model just because actually it doesn't make a lot of difference to the kind of stressing, but you can understand that that's probably necessary as well. You may have some comments on all of that when you talk about how well and easy it is to assemble, and come the next exercises where you're designing your own wing, hopefully you'll learn from some of the good bits of the assembly of this, but also some of the bad bits of how you probably wouldn't design this if you were designing your own wing. Okay, so I hope that goes well for you. This took me 15 minutes or so to do now. I have done at least 7 or 8 attempts at doing this, and so I'm well practiced. So if you're frustrated that it's not going to plan, rewind and have a go, and do it slowly, and check each time you mate something that it has done what you expect it to do. Okay, so I hope you have fun with that, and good luck with your build.